Hey everybody, thank you for joining us today for our pre-draft availability. Joining us today, our general manager, Rich Cho. I know everybody has a lot of questions. We would ask that you keep your questions today to the draft and the team. With that, Rich is going to make some opening statements, and then we'll take some Q&A. Rich.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Over the last couple of months, we've been extremely busy with picks 9, 24, and 45. It's definitely kept us extremely busy. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had 11 draft workouts, 64 players total. There's a slight chance we might have a couple more workouts next week. We're trying to line those up right now. Over the last year, in preparation for the draft and free agency period, our scouts have filed over 3,500 scouting reports. That includes draft players, free agent players, international players, D-League players, and so we're definitely prepared for the draft and free agency period, and definitely looking forward to next Thursday night. A couple housekeeping notes. Josh McRoberts did not exercise his player option a couple days ago, so he will be a free agent. And Josh is a big part of our team. We definitely want to try to re-sign him. And Steve Hetzel. Steve has joined our coaching staff, and we're also excited to have him. He's got a strong background in player development. He's been with the Detroit Pistons, Cleveland Cavaliers, and the San Antonio Spurs. Last year he was the head coach for the Canton Charge in the D-League. And last but not least, we're excited to have all our players, a lot of our players, in for workouts over the last couple months. All 9 of our players that are under contract next year have been in periodically to work out, and as well as a couple of our free agent players. So we're excited to have them, and I know they're all looking forward to next season. And with that, open it up to questions.
Rich, you mentioned 11 draft workouts that you guys have gone through, all the tapes. With as much as you've seen of all these guys, is this draft to you as strong as people are making it out to be?
Yeah, I think this draft is very strong. We're going to get a very good player at 9, and we'll get a very good player at 24. And also, we have a good chance to get a player at 45.
With that in mind, do you foresee doing anything different with those picks? I mean, how likely or unlikely is it to do any kind of movement with those guys? Because, or do you foresee adding 3 rookies as we start in late September or October?
Well, you know, when you have a top 10 pick like we have, and a pick in the 20s, and a second round pick, you've got a lot of flexibility. So there's 9 teams that don't have a first round pick. There's 8 teams that have multiple firsts. There's 12 teams that don't have a second round pick, and there's 7 teams that have multiple second round picks. And 5 teams don't have a first or second round pick. So you know, we're sitting there with 2 firsts and a second. So we've been getting a ton of calls, and we've also been making a ton of calls. And so we're going to have options to trade up, trade back, trade out, trade for a veteran, keep a pick. Just a lot of different options. It's hard to say what we're going to do with those picks. As the draft gets closer, we'll have even more options, because then the talks will get even more serious.
Rich, you mentioned a minute ago that it's possible you're done with workouts. And I know you said you might be able to schedule a couple more next week, but is there anybody who you would anticipate being available at 9 who has chosen not to work out for you?
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Over the years, I've been involved in drafts where we've selected players that have not worked out for us. You know, we're picking at 9, but there's probably 15 guys that think they won't get to 9. So it's definitely a possibility.
What you just said is part of what I was asking, that when you said, you know, there might be 15 people who are presuming right now their top 9 picks.
Yeah, and same with 24. There might be, you know, 35 guys who think they're going to top 24, so they won't work out for us. But the workout is just a small part of the process, and we've been scouting these guys all year, and in some cases for 4 years. So the workout, is just a small part, and we have to take into the whole, their whole playing career, basically. We have to take into what they've done throughout their career, all the intel that we've acquired on the player background work, their injury history, everything like that.
With what you were able to accomplish last year after what y'all have been through the last couple of years, how hard is it to weigh that balance between staying young and solidifying the future and adding that 1 or 2 or 3 pieces that your coach wants to think that you can get past the first round or beyond in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a balance, because the last thing you want to do is sacrifice your long-term flexibility for a short-term gain. And as our team grows and gets better, and we need to re-sign certain players and add to our team, whether it's re-signing a veteran player or signing a rookie player to a rookie scale player to a contract extension, as our team gets better and we have to spend more money to keep these players, you're always going to need players on rookie scale contracts. So you don't want to sacrifice your picks just to have some short-term gain, because a veteran's going to help you win a couple more games. So there's got to be a definite balance between long-term flexibility and short-term gain.
Rich, how close are you, do you think, to winning a playoff series?
I don't think we're that far away, personally. We were not too far away from a higher seed, and we were pretty successful against some of the other teams in the playoffs in the East. We're 3-0 against Toronto. I think we're 3-1 against Washington. So we had some success against some of the other teams. Now that doesn't mean we would have beat them in the playoffs, because playoffs is a different animal. But I don't think we're that far away from winning a playoff series.
When the year started, obviously you want to win, but did it surprise you a little y'all were able to be in the position you were in? Because nobody really talked playoffs a year ago this time. Had so much transition. Obviously the word improvement was used. I mean, how surprising was it to make it? And a lot of people say the hardest thing is to stay in that position, and moving forward, that's obviously your challenge.
Yeah, I think, we're looking forward to a good year. I think at the end of the year, winning 43 games, and I think it did surprise us a little bit, but at the same time, we had a great coaching staff. Coach Clifford and his staff did a great job. Big Al had a career year. I thought our young guys got better. Kemba, and all the young guys. Cody played well, especially after the All-Star break, and made the All-Rookie second team. And we're excited for the future.
Rich, we know that Big Al kind of opened the door to big name potential free agents coming here. This year with draft workouts, we saw a lot of guys in as compared to other years. Do you think that also had an effect on the amount of guys that wanted to come and work out for this team and potentially be drafted by this team?
Yeah, definitely. When we were in Chicago and we went through the pre-draft process and we got to interview 18 players there. And we asked them, hey, did you guys, one of the questions was, did you get a chance to see us play? And every single one of them said, yeah, I saw you in the playoffs. You guys were pretty close. It's too bad Big Al got hurt. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened. And so I think that playoff experience helped not just our young players, but gave us some exposure from a national basis. And every single one of the players we interviewed in Chicago recognized our team. They knew the players on our team, and
Hey, two-part question. There's been so much talk nationally about Randall's foot. Do you have any concern about his health? And also, if he were available at 9, considering what Al does, do you think those two could be complementary pieces, or will they get in each other's way?
Well, I don't really want to comment on specific players, as well as a player's. Wouldn't be fair to comment on his health status, just from a medical standpoint. So, we've got a great medical staff and trainer. So, any issues there, we're well aware of.
Would his skill set and Al's jive together?
Well, I think, like, I don't want to comment on specific players because I don't want to tip our hand on who we want to draft, but Al's a very unique player in that he's one of the best low post threats in the league, and I think any young player or veteran player is going to be excited to play with him.
It's how important to get Josh back on the contract, to re-sign him as free agent.
Well, he was a big part of our team, so he helped Kemba, he helped Big Al. He's such a great passer. He's a connector to the team, and he's a great teammate also. So we're hoping to re-sign him.
When you mentioned injuries, we've seen Jeffrey doing work. Where do you feel like he is? And my sense would be from what we've seen of him doing that you project he'd be 100% start of training camp, correct?
Yeah, Jeff's doing a great job with his rehab. He's been out, he's been working continuously. And he's jumping around, he's shooting a lot. So he'll be ready for training camp. And I know he's excited just from talking to him because he said he learned a lot just from sitting on the bench and observing, and he's a big part of our team. We definitely missed him and especially his perimeter defense last year.
It's such a strong draft. If you take someone with the 9th pick, do you have expectations about what role they would fill next year for this team?
Well, part of that's up to Coach Clifford and what he sees, and what kind of minutes the player can get. And like I said, we have a great staff, and I know that Coach Clifford is going to use that player's talents to his fullest ability.
When you look at the Las Vegas roster, who would we reasonably expect to be out there, and have you figured all that out yet? That we know about. I mean, obviously there's be free agent guys or something.
Yeah, Cody's going to play.
Okay.
Our 9th pick, and anybody we draft is going to play too. 9, 24, 45. We use all those draft picks that are going to play.
I'm not familiar with the rules to the extent that I wish I were. Would you be allowed to bring MKG or Biz if you wanted to, or are they precluded by the amount of time you spend in the league?
You can have up to 4 veterans on your summer league roster, and if they're free agents, they don't count as a vet. So you can have up to 4.
So Cody's the only person you're choosing to bring in that group.
Right. We might have a couple of the younger guys like practicing with our team.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, playoffs. Winning the playoffs here is so much about matchups. You guys, your philosophy in drafting, is it trying to compete with the Indianas, the Heats of the East, or what's the philosophy, just trying to get the best team that you can have?
It's really just trying to get the best team that we can have because, who knows what the other teams are going to look like next year. So really trying to make sure your team is the best team you can have.
Rich, in a given pick, how do you balance what your board tells you with what your needs tell you? I mean, at what point would 2 players have to be close enough that you would give benefit to filling a need rather than just taking the next player on the board? Yeah,
I mean, in an ideal world, you're going to take a best player and he's going to fill a need, but you're right, there is a balance, and if everything's equal, you probably want to, take the position that you need more.
Rich, do you feel, and we're used to seeing you and Rod up there talking about the draft, do you feel any more pressure, or is this going to be different with him not there with you?
No, I don't feel any more pressure. The draft and free agency period are something that we've prepared for all year long, and we're very well prepared for it. I've got 5 scouts around the country, 5 college scouts around the country. I've got 1 pro scout, 1 international scout. They're all very experienced, and I don't feel any more pressure. We'll be well prepared.
Anything else? All right, thank you everybody for coming out.
Thank you.